I'm going to invite you now to get to the forest, and not only to the forest but high in a tree, because in the canopy of the forest we have a broader range of species that, the ones that we see here, vines, mosses, and they are growing on top of the trees. And what are we trying to do is to understand the ecological relevance of this component, the epiphytes, what is going on above our heads within this giant Alerce forest. And the basic question that we're trying to respond is, what is the relevance of this canopy in terms of biogeochemical cycles? Because one of the interesting things about the canopy is that it's the first layer that is interacting directly with the atmosphere, so it might have some direct influence on what's going on in the forest. Then the canopy is this array of species that sometimes it's a different array of species of what we can see on the forest floor, might be contributing to ecosystem services such as habitat for organisms, influence on the water movement from the canopy to the forest floor, or the fluxes of nutrients, the different pathways that can occur from the tip of a tree all the way to the forest floor. Also, the canopy has been described to regulate some climate within the canopy of the tree, and I'm going to show brief result of the data that we have now in the canopy of ancient Alerce forest. And finally, I'm trying to include this human dimension aspect, basically trying to build a bridge between the work that we do out in the field, in the lab, towards the society, because we cannot only keep, we should, at least that's my philosophy, we should go out, literally go out on a limb, out of our comfort zone as scientists, and really help to create this link. But let's go back to the Alerces, and what do we know about this wonderful species, Rocio's favorite tree? It's an endemic species from Chile and Argentina. It's protected by law, as Angelica said earlier in her talk. It can reach huge dimensions, up to 60 meters, even though this one is near 40 meters tall. It's the second longest lived species in the world. There are more than 50 species described that grow up in the canopy of Alerce, vascular and non-vascular plants. Also a broader range of insects, bacteria, I don't know about that yet, but we can figure it out. And what has been described in the literature is that the epiphytic biomass can reach up to 8 tons of biomass per hectare in the canopy. So that's equivalent to 2 buses per hectare in a forest. So it's not misers biomass. But how are all these materials interacting? And of course it's limited knowledge about the canopy. So what we are trying to describe in terms of biochemistry is measure the fluxes from the canopy towards the forest floor. This is work in progress. In terms of climate regulation, we have now for 5 plots mean average of 10 degrees in the canopies, that it's soon going to be compared with what's going on the forest floor. In terms of ecosystem services, these trees are harboring a lot of species, and we found a couple of months ago a dead frog in the canopy. So it's there are organisms using the canopy in ways that we don't understand now, but recently we installed some camera traps in the canopies. And last, in terms of human dimension, we are working with all sorts of people, from artists, PhD students, undergrad students, so taking them to the field, and also K-12 students, so they can have what I call the outreach experience. And speaking about experience, I'm going to take the last minute of this talk to take you all very high on a tree, so you can see what I see. So this is the view from one of the trees that we're working on. This film was taken last week, where we installed some camera traps to see who or what it's on these canopies. And all those plants that you see there, that's vascular plants, mosses, lichens, as Mary mentioned earlier, that are growing.
Camera.
Yeah, that's a camera trap. We see who's moving up in the canopy, and they form really distinctive mats that we cannot really see from the first floor because the trees are like 40, 60 meters tall. But it's a large biomass. There is those are my epiflow collectors. So we're trying to measure how the water that's moving from the canopy towards the first floor. I think that's good. I have to show you.